All right, welcome to the Cochrane Show. I'm John Cochrane, Lorne Anderson. And at the end of our last show, Lorne, famous last words, I'm feeling really good about this Warriors season. That was the night before Jimmy Butler tears his ACL. And from what it seems, the season sort of goes down the drain at that point.
And that was tough to watch. Tough to watch. They're just, things were looking up. They'd won, 10 out of 14, 9 out of 14 or something like that. They were one of the league's hottest teams there for a little bit, getting really good bench production and then starting to fix some of their stuff. And then bang, there goes the ACL. And it's like, oh, now we're below mediocre.
I mean, and you knew, like when Butler goes down, he seems like a tough cookie. Like,
Um,
you know that if a guy like that, it was really funny. I don't know if they've kept it, Lauren, but you can go back on NBA League Pass. Sorry, I don't know if it's still there, but live, they went to black screen with the NBA logo, but they did not turn the mics off. So you could hear the whole conversation between Butler and Buddy Hield. It was hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, they were trash talking amongst the injury.
Yeah. No, I did catch some of that. But my first thought was like, man, not Buddy. I was like, Jimmy Butler really didn't want to go to the All-Star game, did he? It's like, wow, that is one way to get yourself out of that.
Yeah. And the old Miami Warriors is not a good matchup for Butler. He sprained his MCL, I think, last when he was in Miami playing Golden State. And now, obviously, on Golden State playing Miami, tears the ACL. But obviously, that sucks for them. But that left some room open in the log jam for Jonathan Kuminga to come back, get in the rotation.
I texted you
Look,
about this, John. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy. Look, I'm happy for Kuminga that he comes in and gets 20 points in 21 minutes and then has a near perfect start to the game against the Mavs before he sprains his ankles. And I just thought to myself, man, the roller coaster for this young kid continues. As soon as Jimmy Butler went down, I texted you and I was like, man, I hope this does not turn into like, oh, Kuminga, now we need you again. Like what they did to him, the poor guy in the playoffs. And sure enough, he's back in. It didn't start him. They played him late. It was almost like they were still trying to prove a point. I just thought, oh man, the optics of this are not good. And then for Dunleavy to come out and say, if you want to demand a trade, there needs to be demand. It's like, my guys, the organization is controlling the destiny of this guy. And he's coming out and says he's having enough of it. And they're trying to make him look bad on top of it. I just thought, oh boy, you're just nuking from inside the desire for free agents and people to be optimistic about coming to play in Golden State. I was as a bit of a Warriors fan, I was a bit ashamed. I'm not gonna lie. This is an increasingly messy situation that's just not getting any better.
let me play. I do this all the time. I'll play devil's advocate. Let's flesh this out. Santos, he's been in and out of the rotation for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you have the same bitter feelings? Looney, when he played, he was in and out of the rotation. Did not quite make the same, didn't have the same passion towards those types. Pat Spencer has great games when Curry's out, hasn't played much since. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't a new thing.
None of those guys that you mentioned are a top 10 pick in the NBA in the draft. None of them are making $25 million this season. None of them were in and out of the lineup and then benched for an extended period of time with like almost a point to prove. And they're talking about them in the media and then just only pulled back after an injury. Like this, I feel like the situation is completely different.
I think what you just said, though, is the problem about none of them were a top 7 pick. I wonder, it's like you're carrying that around, not you. It's like Kuminga or, I'll just say Kuminga. I'm sure this isn't true, but he's carrying around, I'm a top 7 pick, right? I am almost like, you can't treat me as if I'm not. I have the right has he earned it is the question. Like, is he just walking around like it's my right to get 25 minutes a game regardless of productivity? But I don't want to be a Debbie Downer because I actually thought he looked fantastic when he played. So let me stop being a dirtbag and say,
Yeah.
yeah, he looked good.
Like, if I'm going to be honest here, John, I was not surprised that he got an injury early on in that second game. Like,
Yeah.
he comes out, he shows the NBA that he can still play. The second game, he comes back, he makes himself appear as a consummate professional and doesn't miss. And then early on, tweaks his, and the replay does look like it. It's not the greatest look for that ankle, the way he steps on the foot of the. I can't remember who was guarding him at the time.
It was his knee. He's out with
He's got a bone
a,
bruise in his knee,
a
but yeah. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't look good, but I'm not surprised that he's nursing another injury, and he's proved his point now. He's proved his point. But I think that the Warriors have just kind of like completely nuked any leverage they had in terms of getting a good deal here. And I think one of the questions I ended our show on last week was, how fast do you think the trade happens? Do you think it happens like as soon as, I remember you were saying like, yeah, they've been negotiating. As soon as that
yeah.
deadline passes over, he's gone. But this is a
No.
problem, John. And the way they're talking
It's
is that he's going to be with the franchise till the end of the year. And they're probably not going to take the team option on him, and he's going to walk.
no. They have to take the team option. Like, you can't lose that 25 million salary. Like, you need to keep that for a trade, in my opinion. So you take the team option unless you have somebody you can slot. And I don't know what the aprons have changed, but in the past, you used to have to keep those salary cap players because if you lost them, it was very hard to bring players back in to fill that void. Like, you almost needed to keep those players if you were over the tax and whatnot. But
Poor JK.
I
It just to sign up for another year of this would just be like, and yeah, granted, he's only young, so lucky, right? He's what,
yeah
23 still, something like that. But this has got to be the most frustrating stint of his
yeah.
career. But
I
again,
want to get to
I
Kerr in
can't
a little bit.
I can't wait to see the news article that comes out and tries to explain what's really going on. Just maybe August,
Yeah.
September, we'll see something. Anyway,
Yeah,
you were gonna.
because there's those rumors swirling that he faked an injury when he found out he wasn't starting. This was a couple months ago. I don't know if you saw that article, which was the reason for the bench. Like, he had not played since that game.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I don't know if that's true, but that was the speculation. He was planning on playing, and then about 10 minutes before the game
I didn't know
said
that.
he got injured.
Yeah, okay.
So that's when the benching all happened. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but that was the rumor. And I want to get to Kerr in a little bit because those rumors are swirling as well, whether or not Steve Kerr will be back next year. But I want to focus on these last three games a little bit. And with Jonathan Kuminga, I think the only sort of optimism or hope or, there are players have demanded a trade in the past and stuck around, right? Kobe Bryant, I don't know if you remember, he demanded a trade out of LA earlier on in his career. They worked it out. Obviously, legendary player in LA. So I don't want to write it off that he is a goner for sure, because I think things can be repaired. But I think if we look at the three games that just happened, Lauren, I think the Raptors was a schedule loss more than a Jimmy Butler loss. I think they were going to lose that game regardless. They had just come off of playing really good basketball for a long period of time, and they just don't. Quentin Post, Horford, like, they don't match up well with those long, fast wings. Like, Scotty Barnes just destroys the Warriors. That's a
Yeah.
nightmare matchup. They just beat the Thunder today. Like, Raptors are
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
good.
Raptors have been playing some pretty phenomenal basketball, and we only played them on the 29th of December, so it's only been a couple of weeks, like between games. And in that game against the Raptors back in December, it didn't look good for the Warriors.
I think Barnes got 20 rebounds in that game.
That's right. They had no answers. And so I think, Raptors are going to do what the Raptors are going to do. I was a little bit more down about the loss to the Mavs. It looked like it was a closer game, and then the Mavs just kind of squeaked it out. Shout out to Klay Thompson. He would have felt really good about that. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was a bit of a disappointing loss. But I think that those two losses are the carryover from the injury because now internally, like you've got the one thing that I think that could be really good for these guys is the monkey's off their back now, in the sense like if the Warriors don't even make the play in this year, people will be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like they lost Jimmy Butler, so they can play a little bit free. I'm not saying that they're gonna miss the play in. I actually think that they can hold their space, especially with Devin Booker coming out. But we'll have to see what happens with the Clippers and the Lakers and so forth. But you know, I do want to see them continue to win these games against the sub 500 teams like the Mavs. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I don't say this often. The last 3 games, I've been disappointed with Curry's demeanor. Just his like, all right, your Robin has gone down. This is where Batman needs to say, like, hey, like, I can carry us. Whether that's true or not, you need to rally the troops and have like an extra vote of confidence. And I just felt like he looked defeated. He didn't look energetic. He didn't look like he I don't necessarily wanted to play in the game. I'm not, and I don't say like Curry's my all-time favorite player, so I'm not sort of taking a shot at him, but I was disappointed in his response specifically.
yeah,
It was an opportunity to, everybody else is sort of freaking out around you. You're the player in the organization that's meant to settle and calm the shit.
yeah. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I also see it from the perspective of like you were retooling for one last run and the writing is on the wall for this Warriors team. Like Steve Kerr has been talking about it, the mediocre team comments, the fading dynasty, all the rest of it. It has got to be such a downer when Robin tears his ACL. You know what I mean? Like you thought, well, maybe we could squeak in. Like if we can avoid the play-in, we could have a favorable matchup in the first round. Get to the second round. Maybe there's an injury. Maybe something happens, and all of a sudden we're in the Western Conference Finals again and you roll the dice and you like your chances because of who it is. And now you're looking at it, you think, oh man, like we were talking about last week, you need the third guy. And who's the third guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got a critical schedule coming up. So they got Minnesota tomorrow, and then they've got Utah,
Yeah.
which that's the sleeper. And then you go to the East, you've got Pistons and 76ers.
Yeah.
Like those are going to be I'm more worried about that 76ers game. I don't watch much Pistons. I know they're good. I just don't know how fast they play. Like, are they running up and down the court, or like Tyrese Maxey sort of freaks me out for this Warriors team. And then you got the Suns and Lakers. Like those 2 games are huge
Yeah.
for the Warriors if they can, split Pistons and 76ers and then win those 2 games. You're looking pretty good, and then, the schedule doesn't get any easier
No, it
here on
doesn't.
out. But
Because then maybe an off game, depending on what happens with John Morant. The Grizzlies love playing the Warriors. But then you've got the Spurs, Celtics, Nuggets. You get a night off against the Pelicans, and then you're back at the Lakers and the Clippers. And then you have Rockets, Thunder. Oh boy. Yeah, these next 20 odd games or something like this is a serious run in the schedule. You hope that you can, I don't expect them to beat the Timberwolves 2 nights in a row. And shout out to the good people of Minnesota or Minneapolis. That is, there's some just horrendous stuff going on there. So I can understand why vibes were the way they were. It was, tough thing to watch. But moving forward, this is a really tough roster for the Warriors, and it'll be interesting to see if they can keep their morale up, or whether or not there's a trade in the pipeline and things get triggered. But you just never
yeah.
know.
Well, obviously winning cures everything. So I'm optimistic. Like their defense was I don't know how many turnovers Timberwolves had in this game today, but it was north. It must have been close to 30 turnovers. Like it was 20 turnovers at halftime, I think. The Warriors, they were handsy. They were getting into them. For some reason, they weren't playing through Ant in the first half. It was really weird. Like I was like, is Anthony Edwards even in this game? He just wasn't getting the ball. He ended up having 32 points and 11 rebounds. How many assists did Ant have?
It
Two
sounded
assists.
it sounded like from all the stuff that was said in the pregame and even the postgame, nobody wanted to be there.
Hmm.
Like it seemed like everybody knew that there was some things going on in the world that were bigger than basketball, and yeah, so that was tough. So I'm not really taking too much stock in it. I wonder if tomorrow, they've got that out of the way and the dust settles in the community a little bit, and if the Timberwolves come out a little bit more hungry to try and boost morale for the city, I don't know, but
Yeah. And you don't have Melton and you don't have Horford, I'm guessing. They don't play back to back. So
yeah, okay,
that could be rough for the Warriors
yeah.
tomorrow. You're right. But I want to talk about this for a sec because there is a bit of a trend. Like Curry's off minutes right now have been far better for the team than his on minutes. Yeah, he's scoring, but it's really strange how, and I don't know if it's the pace, like the second unit is getting out, they're running in transition, they're able to maybe be more scrappy. There's less thinking involved, right? Because I think when Curry's getting double teamed, which he is, like it's crazy how they're defending him right now. There's a lot of thinking involved in like what is the right next play? Like what's the pass that he's going to make out of this and where do I need to put myself in the best position in order to get open for this shot? So that might be the case. I don't know. Have you noticed this?
No, well, I mean, not so much, but I wonder if that one of the big things is what you're talking about in the double teaming. The
Yeah.
defenses can pay way more attention to Steph and let the other guys beat you. And depending on how they're playing, you can adjust your game plan accordingly. And Moody, Pajemski, a lot of those guys can be very, very streaky in how they're shooting the ball. And so, it really falls to Steph. And as as somebody said that Colin Sexton is still guarding Steph Curry. So, I mean, and he's just playing bully ball at the moment. As in they're trying to bully him off the ball, and that makes his job way harder. Yeah. So, yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand why the non-Steph minutes are a little bit more free flowing because the game does open up, and I wonder if that's an encouraging thing because it's going to force the team now to play a little bit differently, and hopefully the Steph minutes will sort of right themselves a little bit because he hasn't got Jimmy Butler there, and that will change the dynamics. But then also the non-Steph minutes are going to be pretty essential.
Yeah. Hey, how many points difference do you think it is a drop off from Butler to Kuminga?
How many point difference?
Yeah, like how much more does Butler bring to the table than Kuminga when healthy?
I think it's the intangibles. I'm not sure if it's so much the points because we were talking about this earlier in the season where we were kind of imploring Jimmy to be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end, particularly. Like he was holding it down on the defensive end, but it seemed like we just needed a little bit more from him. Whereas on the flip side, it feels like to me when I watch Kuminga, he really likes the offensive side of the floor. It's the defensive side and the rebounding and some of those intangibles that are a little bit, here. And so to come out, put 20 points in 21 minutes, and then have a pretty stellar. What did I sent you a text of his stat line the other day, and a plus minus of 18 in 9 minutes, 100% from the floor, including free throws, 2 assists, couple of steals. Like it's it's not necessarily in the points that you necessarily feel the drop off. It'll be some of the other stuff, the floor space, the consistency, the turnovers, like that's where you're gonna feel it.
Yeah. So I guess I was more thinking about holistically as a team, like,
Oh, I see, yeah.
because Kaminga is going to make up for some of those points that Butler doesn't score when he's in, but he's also going to detract from some of his teammates, extra possessions with rebounds and making the right pass. So that's just an interest. I was just thinking about that. Like, how big is the gap between the systems with these two players? And do you feel different about this team when if Kaminga is in and engaged moving forward, filling that void as, other compared to when Kaminga's out?
Look, my hope would be that he would come out like a man possessed, in a sense of like, hey, you all doubt me. You all didn't give me minutes. And now you need me again. Hey, like I can be more than Robin. I doubt
Mm.
that that's what we're going to see. We got enough of it, and I wonder if those that small sample size is kind of like his way of being like, hey, I can still ball, I can still hoop,
Yeah.
but it's that consistency. And my hope would be is that he would be hungry enough to prove himself that even in a bad situation, the only way to make it really good is, or something good to come out of it, is to put the effort that is expected and to maybe earn the trust of his coaches and his team. That would be amazing if that could happen. But does that make them more like, this is almost a team that's almost nearly, not quite identical to last year's team, minus Andrew Wiggins. A consistent athletic defender who high IQ player, maybe variable effort player, but still, you knew what you were getting with Wiggins, and it was quite consistent. Whereas now, what are you going to get from Horford on any night, from Melton, from Pods, and granted, Pods has stepped up this year, but it's
Yeah,
still,
and Melton was out. Yeah.
yeah. And certainly Buddy Hield's not playing at the level that we would have expected when we first saw him come to the Warriors for that stretch where we were like, we got another splash, brother.
Yeah, those were a fun 10 games last year at the
Yeah.
start of the season when he's shooting bricks this year. Like it's and they're so loud. His misses are so loud. Like there are some players you're not really expecting to it might be like a end of shot clock heave that someone is just getting it up there.
Yeah.
But Buddy Hield, they're open. He has this reputation of being a marksman, and it just deflates the whole building when it's a home game.
Yeah. And it's getting to the point now where he makes one and everybody goes wild, hoping that this will be the start of something. But, yeah, we want, like, come on, buddy. We need you. We need you, bud.
I don't know how much longer he'll be on this team.
Yeah. The dynamics are now shifting significantly. And if it was Jimmy that was advocating for him because of the camaraderie that they had, the time's kind of running out for that. And so
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a sec. If you're the Warriors, do you use the Butler contract or do you say that's not who we are? Even though they did that with another player, if I'm not mistaken, but it was sort of like Schroeder. We're not going to trade him. And then they went and traded him a
yeah,
couple games later. But yeah, if there's a player on the table, like, are you using that Butler contract to make the trade work?
I guess it depends on the player. I think like if they were able to get Giannis to come, even Jimmy Butler's going to understand that. Surely.
Mm.
Oh, because what? Jimmy Butler's 37 this year, coming back from an ACL next year at 38. He's not going to be a spring chicken. He's still going to be able to play. If you have an opportunity to completely transform your franchise, you got to go and take it. I'm not optimistic about it. My gut says we're not going to see any significant move from the Warriors. And I wonder if it's in part because of just how they've shot themselves in the foot with this Kuminga situation.
Yeah. I'm just not ready to see it die, Lauren.
Nobody is. Nobody
No.
is. Strength in numbers was so fun. Repeated trips to the finals was so fun. Beating the Celtics was so fun. Being able to see Steph go off and become like one of the all-star starters, you could
In
be
Cleveland.
yeah, you could be one of most of the guys' dads on the team. He's definitely a vet. This has been a fun year for him. Like, it's great when it clicks. It's beautiful to watch. Um, but there's some fault lines forming that I'm really concerned about for this team, especially what it looks like in the next couple of years. A shout out to Zach Lowe. He's actually talking about some of the Warriors picks being maybe way more valuable than for other teams based on just how poorly the Warriors are going to find themselves in kind of a situation when Steph does choose to retire and when they can't count on Draymond Green anymore, because then you're quite thin. And it's not like, barring something unforeseen, it's not like they're replenishing themselves with talent development that is going to put them in amazing stead. So it could be a couple of years removed from seeing this to be a solid, like, bottom team hoping to get something in the draft. And I don't know, which would be a sad sort of chapter for a Warriors team that, has been dynastic. And it's different to what we saw with the Spurs, different to the Celtics, different to the Lakers, who just seem to be able to find a path back to relevancy. But then we're talking about this way earlier in the piece, right? Like, it's where we're almost talking about them like they're dead in the water. And there's still some basketball to be played this season, let alone next. So
Look, I think they can't win the championship this year. I'll leave that. But first round win a first round series, I don't think that's out of the question, depending on who the matchup is. You got to avoid OKC. You probably got to avoid the Spurs. But outside of those teams, I'm not saying they're dead in the water in the first round. I think they could make some noise. There's some other trades that are out there that I'd love to see the Warriors explore. Lauri Markkanen, is he available still? He's got $46 million a year on his contract through 28-29. So you could give up Kuminga, you could put Hield in that contract, in that trade, and you're almost contractually there. Maybe throw a first round pick in there to get Lauri Markkanen. I think he'd be a good fit for this team. Jaren Jackson Jr., what's Memphis doing with him? Would you bring him in for a few first round picks? I would love for the Warriors to use these draft picks that are unknown commodities to get known commodities. Like known commodities that are in their 20s that you know what you're going to get. You're not going to draft another Steph Curry. Like, that's just not going to happen.
no, and especially when you've got Steph Curry playing at this level. Like, it would be, if he was only able to do this once every 4 games, you know what I mean? Or once a month he goes off and then he has some pretty average, games in between. Then you'd understand being patient and just, letting it go. But this man is still the
Yeah.
difference maker between conference finals. He could still be a finals MVP. Like, and so here's a provocative question for you, John. If you are the Warriors GM and you're looking at this, is this a moment where you at least have the conversation with Steph, just saying, "Hey, mate, we appreciate everything that you've done for this city. We know you want to play meaningful basketball. If you choose your destiny, would you be willing to go somewhere where we can make that happen for you?" And then you try and work the phones to get the biggest possible deal, even surpassing what Utah paid for or Minnesota paid for Rudy Gobert. Would you be entertaining that at all?
I
You're gonna be holding the man hostage.
I think if it's coming from him, maybe, but here's what Steph Curry is to the organization. He's a sold out crowd every single home game. Like, at the end of the day, he is making you so much money. Like, as the owner of the Golden State Warriors, it's a business. And what better business partner to have than Steph Curry? So I would be doing everything I can to continue to make fans show up in their seats in Golden State while you still have this generational, most fun player ever to watch on your team.
I agree.
And I just don't think at this stage, I honestly don't think there would be a huge haul, as crazy as that sounds. You got 53 million in cap per year that he's on. You don't know what his future is and what win now team, because that's what we're talking about, a win now team, can get rid of that much cap and still have. I just don't think that, LeBron James, like, he's not going to haul in, if he ever got traded, he's not going to haul in a ton of, and that's LeBron James. I don't know how big of a haul you can actually get for a 37-year-old making $53 million a year.
So what does the franchise need to do to redeem themselves as as a place of integrity that people want to play at? Because that's what they used to be in
Yeah.
this strength in numbers years. You felt like that free agents, if they had the chance, they were trying to go to either Golden State or Cleveland so that they could play in these systems. They could either play with LeBron or they could go join the strength in numbers and actually play joyous basketball. But it feels like that joyous part has been sort of turned upside down, and it's a bit of a gong show at the moment. So how do they fix that?
Well, I'm going to change my tune on what I've said all year. I do think Kerr probably needs to go
Wow.
because for not this year, but in the offseason, they haven't renewed his contract. It's not going to be you're fired. I think it will be mutual. I do not think Kerr comes back. I think players haven't only seen what Kerr can do to players on his own team, but even in the Olympics on the world stage of Jason, like I do think that rubbed NBA players the wrong way. And even though you've got Steph Curry that you can come and team up with, I just don't think it's a stable situation, and Kerr may be a part of the problem that's making it unstable.
Wow. It was interesting hearing Richard Jefferson talk about Steve Kerr this week and sort of saying that, as a somebody who's competed against him in the NBA finals level and seeing both the resume as a player, but then as a coach, and then to see him ranked as one of the, if not the number one coach in the world of pro sports at the moment, you just think, who are you going to get that's better? But if you've lost the locker room or if you've lost the league in a sense of being able to be like, wow, and hopefully you get some legacy players that are like, no, I'm part of my competitive nature is that I want to take this storied franchise to its next level, and I want to play for a guy like that. Uh, but but yeah, you're right. If you can do it to Jason Tatum, and who knows, like they had just played in the NBA Finals not long before, and so you wonder if there's a little bit of an extension of the competitiveness that goes into that. But man, yeah, that was pretty curious to watch. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. They won the gold medal. So
Yeah. He's
that
won 4 championships. Like, I'm not a Steve hater. I actually really think he's a great coach. The flip side of me on what I said before was I don't know any other coach in the NBA that would take this team past 500.
yeah,
I just don't think they have fantastic players.
yeah.
Like, how many of these players are gonna be starting on a team that is not the Golden State Warriors, right? Is Pajemski gonna be starting on another team? I don't think so. Is Moody starting on another team? I I don't think so. Like, sometimes what's the Brazilian? I've lost his name.
He's Santos.
Sometimes he's in the starting lineup? No. Is Al Horford gonna start on another team? Probably not. Somebody wrote in a comment, he started on the championship team. Yeah, that was for the Boston Celtics. That was like 3 years ago. Like, that's a long time in old man age in the NBA.
And he was already contemplating retirement then.
Yeah. And is Quentin Post gonna start on it? Like, none of these players are starting caliber players, and Steve Kerr, like, this is the flip side, gets the most out of them, whether or not we like the way he does it.
Yeah. And that's true. That's true. That's true.
So
Yeah.
there's a talent gap. Like watching Minnesota today, I would love Naz Reid on the Warriors, who is
Yeah.
not even a starter on the Timberwolves. Like
Yeah.
some of these teams are just blessed with riches that still don't get the most out of them, right? So
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I do hope that they can start drafting or getting players that are taller than 6'3". That would be
yeah.
nice.
And then keep them, like
Yeah,
hold on to them. It'd be nice to have Ryan Rollins on this team actually that can, get a bucket.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But these are the complexities of the team dynamics too. Yeah,
That's why I love sports.
yeah. There's a lot
Gets that
that
fire.
happen,
Yeah.
but man, I'm still lamenting that play. Jimmy catches it, comes down, tweaks his leg, and just like, oh man. And it seemed like when I watched him go down, everybody knew that that was a season defining moment. Like, it took the players and coaches quite a long time to get to Jimmy. I was surprised. Even Quinton Post, who was over by the 3-point line, he was not like 4 meters away from Jimmy, but he sits there and he's got his hands in his head, like, or is it, and he knows that the season's gone. And they were mourning the season before they were checking on their boy. Like,
Yeah. It
oh,
had Klay Thompson NBA Finals 2019 vibes for sure,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where you just know that this is the end. And look, I don't think this team, as formatted with Butler, had an opportunity if they didn't make a move. Like, there's the West. I mean, OKC, they're fragile. Come on, give us OKC. They're
Yeah,
losing.
I was wanting to talk to you about that. That's really interesting. Is this team
10 losses.
they're into double digits already. Man, you're celebrating. I can't.
Hang on to this.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but they're losing to some like bad teams.
yeah, yeah. Like the Pacers beat. I thought for sure Shea was sitting out. He wasn't.
They just can't handle that pacer speed. I think that's a kryptonite to OKC. Is you just got to outrun them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what
And
the
then the
Pacers did.
Raptors got a good win against them today as well. So yeah, that's I wouldn't say they're in panic stations, but certainly, I mean, it's got to be demoralizing for a team that is tracking towards an all-time record, and maybe you start to believe your own smoke a little bit, and everybody's talking about you, and then the reality hits, and
Yeah,
the test
there's
really comes.
there's probably a sense of relief to get that off their back. Like, all right,
Yeah,
it's not happening. It's crazy that they're halfway through the season and they've lost as many games as the Warriors did in 2016. Like, 73-9 is an absolutely crazy record once you like realize how perfect you have to be to get that.
yeah. Basically, the Warriors just showed up for third quarters in that year.
They could be down by 15 at half and then going into the fourth be up by 15.
Yeah, that's right. Just toying with the teams. I wonder if that's part of the problem too. Is that, like, in some ways when you're that good, competitive nature, people want to beat you. They want to just like beat you to the ground so that you can't come back and do that again. This is not the league where people just want to be, oh, bandwagon, I'll go join it. And that does happen to a certain extent. But the competitive, like, yo, you want a good deal in this trade market for JK? Yeah. Well, there's a few guys. You guys already won 4 out of the last, you got 4 chips the last 20 years. Like, don't come crying to us, expecting us
I
to
think the Warriors still have that target on their back.
100%.
Like, even these young players, like they were watching that team be dynastic when they were in middle school. And now they have an opportunity to dethrone this team that they idolized or that was like the Goliath when they were watching the NBA.
Not only that, if you can say that you guarded Steph, and well, like, say you wrestled Steph and he only hit 3 threes on you, like, you can be telling your grandchildren about that.
Yeah. I want to see an ejection for Steph Curry this year. That would be really cool. Like, just to be so fed up at the way he's getting grabbed and yanked and pulled and fouled and not getting continuation, just to let all the smoke, all the frustration out. Like when I think he's been ejected before, like throwing the mouthpiece and whatnot. Just let it all out, Steph. It's healthy. Just let it out. You don't need the counseling room for that. Just use the basketball court.
Yeah, get your catharsis. I would rather him get his catharsis by setting the all-time threes record for threes made in the game. That's
He
gotta come.
wants that.
That's gotta come.
Not with double teams and triple teams, but
No. Yeah,
get a
yeah,
team that's game enough to go under on screens and don't double team him, then it will come.
yeah. When I was living in Japan, there was a buddy of mine came over one day. We were making burgers for lunch. We were going to watch some NBA. And this was the year the Raptors were playing pretty well as well. And I wanted to watch the Raptors. I think they were, playing a top tier team. It was going to be a good game. I put it on, and my buddy looks at me. He's like, "Bro, why aren't we watching the Warriors?" I'm like, "Because they're playing against the Bulls. Why would we watch them play against the Bulls? The Bulls."
Oh, is that
And
the
he's
Clay
like,
Thompson?
"No, I just got a feeling we've got to watch this game." I was like, "Okay." Being a good host, I put the game on, and I'm so glad that we did. I remember that we just looked at each other every time he splashed another 3-pointer. Like, my gosh, how are they letting him get away with this? Oh man, he's got such a pure jumper.
That was such a shocking defensive performance from the Bulls. Like, it's like they're like, come on, Clay, get the record today. Like, let's be
Yeah,
a part of
please,
history here.
please. There you go.
Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah.
Man, the good old days. But hey, Warriors still have some. We're not losing all hope. This is an optimistic podcast here.
Okay, so how do you think what's the integrity filled way to fade your dynasty? Well, I was thinking about this a little bit over the last couple of days. How do you sort of like land the plane? And I'm wondering if you're just circling games on the calendar and you're saying anything can happen in between these games, but these are the games where we are going to town. Like we want to wrestle Kevin Durant and the Rockets. We're going to put everything into winning that game. We're like obviously they're not going against OKC because of the length. They've rested all their starters, but like if we go play LeBron and Luca, we're showing up for that game. Like who else would be some of the opponents that they're making sure? I was hoping it was the Dallas Mavericks this last week just for the Clay Thompson rivalry.
Yeah.
That didn't really happen the way I was hoping.
Like, you're going to Madison Square Garden. You're going to show up.
Yeah.
LeBron, some of these young guys. Is Did you say OKC? Like, that's the game that you just rest your players? Is that what you
Well,
said?
that's what they've been doing. So I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, what's the integrity way? So, like you say, New York, big markets, New York, Los Angeles, but then like some of the story franchises where it has to be, you have to go up against Giannis, you have to go up against Kevin Durant and Clay Thompson. And so lucky for them, that's what, like 8 games a year that you got to try and win.
Here's what they do. There's three things that the Warriors have. Like, these are the three options based off models. The Bulls option, where this is the last dance, right?
Yeah,
We're like, we know this, there is an end date on this book, and we are putting that end date in. There's the Spurs option. Like, the Spurs sort of just, Parker left, he went to Charlotte. They still had Tim Duncan, and they were hoping to pass it on to Kawhi. That fell through. But I think that is the best track to go down. But the two timelines thing just didn't work. Like, you just,
no,
that James Wiseman pick is
man,
that's just gonna hump. Like, that is a 15-year trajectory change off of that
100%,
missed draft.
100%.
And then the third option is just trade everyone. Like clear shit, and we restart. I would prefer them to continue to try and do option 2. Like, can you allow these young guys to play and carry you these bench players to carry you through some games? Like, let Moody and Pods and Kuminga try and be alpha for a little bit.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting when you got to rest Steph because then you get to see what this team really looks like without Jimmy, without Steph.
Yeah.
Draymond has the patience to try and direct traffic a little bit there, and I don't know how that's going to go.
I will say Draymond's going to be the first to retire out of Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. I think Green's the first one to retire.
Yeah, and going to coaching or whatever.
Yeah, he just doesn't look good. Like, I don't think he would even start on any other team.
Yeah. His
Maybe
competitive
Los
nature and
Angeles.
his intelligence make him invaluable. Yeah.
He has the IQ, but then he plays so stupid. Sorry to cut you off. He just, like, he has the IQ. That's the thing. But it's not to make sometimes the right pass or to throw it into triple coverage when the player's not open. Anyhow, go
Yeah.
on.
No, it seems like they have these old plays that have worked for them so well in the past that like are in their muscle memory, but now defenses are clued in and they're half step ahead. And so that little margin for error to get that pass to Steph to free him up for a shot is not there anymore. And either
Yeah.
they're half second slower or the defense is a little bit more quick now. And some of these guns coming in are like this VJ Edgecombe guy, Ace Bailey. These guys are fast and athletic, and they're coming in with a little bit more sort of like ability to contribute right away than we've seen in years past. Um, yeah,
And they have the freedom.
yeah, 100% freedom. Yeah. No, it'd be interesting. Yeah, one of your options, trade Draymond Green to the Lakers so that he can have a year with LeBron. Steph goes to play with Wemby out in San Antonio. Jimmy Butler gets moved somewhere. You start bringing in all that just full rebuild, but you can't do that.
Would you do a Butler Kuminga for LeBron James?
I wouldn't be bringing LeBron James in at this stage of his career because then what you're signaling is that this team is now a sideshow. It's not for real because that team has no hope of competing for a championship or being more competitive than they are now. Like,
So do you think that LeBron is a big drop off than Jimmy Butler?
I think LeBron at 42 is a drop off from the consistency to what Jimmy Butler can bring. I think LeBron at this stage of his career is the greatest player at penciling in which games are must win and which games he has to rise to the occasion. And apart from that, is getting into a position where he's got to rest. Like his body's not. I mean, and it's LeBron James, so it's still he's better than half the guys on the roster. But it's a short term, it's a mega short term investment. And then you're saying, okay, we'll do the last dance one more year with all of these guys. And it's going to be like a nostalgia team that nobody's really going to take seriously because how could
Yeah,
you?
I mean, I just if you can get LeBron for not giving up much,
Oh,
Butler, but Butler, who knows when Butler is going to be back? Like there's no demand for Kuminga. So if you like Butler might not play next year. Who
yeah, but
knows how his recovery goes?
there's no way the Lakers would take Jimmy Butler for LeBron James. It doesn't matter how you package it.
With Kuminga, you're replacing a maybe 1 year left player with a future player.
But Kuminga will never be that next to Doncic. That puts Kuminga back into the same situation he's in right now.
Well, you can't win them all, Lauren.
No, that man is too media savvy. He's gone to Los Angeles for a lot of reasons that go beyond basketball. I don't think you're luring him out, even if it is to Silicon Valley in San Francisco. I don't see it happening. I think LeBron is I wouldn't be surprised if this is his last year. But
You would be or you wouldn't be.
no, I wouldn't be surprised if this is his last year.
Yeah. I find it pretty comical how people that are like Michael Jordan, what would you call them? Fans, I guess. There's another word, I don't know what it is. Michael Jordan fans
Okay.
compare prime Michael Jordan to 42-year-old LeBron James. Like you see LeBron James do something in this season. Oh, Michael Jordan would never do that. Yeah. You're comparing a 28-year-old to a 42-year-old. Get off.
Yeah,
Leave.
that's right. I
So,
mean, Jordan was golfing by then. He was smoking cigars and he was golfing.
yeah, and tanking teams.
Yeah.
No, I don't know when he got into ownership of the Bobcats, but he was not a good owner, was he?
Man, yeah.
It was a good investment. Anyhow, just had to get some LeBron James talk in because the algorithm loves LeBron James. All about that algorithm.
All about that algorithm.
Yeah.
All right, quick roster check before we finish up. So you've got Devin Booker who's gone out. You've got the Lakers 4-6 in their last 10. Houston Rockets are kind of all over the place. Denver's seems to be doing just fine without Jokic, and he'll be back soon. There's been quite a significant drop off from Minnesota here in their last 10. What do you see happening in the Western Conference?
I'm glad you asked. I see the Suns and the Lakers slipping into play-in territory.
Yeah.
I see the Warriors progressing into that sixth spot. And that's not just blowing smoke. I think they've got to get over the emotional damage of losing their second best player and then just hopefully go all guns blazing. Maybe get some of their shooters shooting because they are getting wide open shots still. So open. They just got to knock them down. Anyhow, I think the Clippers are going to progress as well. I could see the Clippers. I don't know if they can get into top 6, but getting into that 7 area. So maybe the Suns get into like the 8, Lakers 7, man, it's so jumbled. And maybe the Warriors are the odd man team out, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, the Clippers are the hottest team in the West at the moment over the last 10 games.
Yeah,
And really, they're only 4 games behind the Warriors. So there's a shrinking spread in this play-in spot. But I think there's no real benefit for Memphis, Dallas, Utah, Sacramento to even try at this stage. So
that's right.
they'll be slipping out. I wonder if John Morant is off this team within the next few weeks. But sounds like nobody wants to take that risk.
There is a lot of movement that could happen.
It seems like this top 4 is pretty set in the West. And then in the East, man, I continue to be surprised. This is
Boston.
Cleveland looks like they're starting to figure it out. The Bulls look like they were trying to turn their season around a little bit. Detroit was always going to be in the top 4, but what is Boston? How are they keeping that going? That's phenomenal. And what happened to
Yeah,
New? Just lost their mojo.
that,
Visited by the Monstars.
yeah. Well, you give up on a coach that's getting the best out of your team. It's not a good look for Mike Brown, I can tell you that,
No.
right? Like Thibodeau, that team was buzzing. They couldn't get over the hump. Mike Brown, he had a good year in Sacramento, then got fired from there. Now you come over to New York, and I don't know, is Cat on this team at the end of the year? Like, he seems to be the odd man out that is getting a lot of, I don't think he has been playing up to par, up to standard. It's the same stuff, right? You're a 7-footer. Yes, you can shoot the 3, but get inside every once in a while and show some oomph to you.
Yeah.
They're really slipping. You're right. And it's not looking good. They don't have any draft picks. Like they just have to do with what they've got. They've got a good team, but there's no like trading draft picks. There's no thinking we can draft younger players because they went all in on this villain. Was it Villanova where all these players played at?
Yeah. They went
Yeah.
all in on that, and then they got rid of DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo.
He was hot about that too. He was
Yeah.
really hot.
Yeah. But at this point, I would probably say Missoula is coach of the year.
I agree.
Nobody expected the Celtics to be anything. And, is Jaylen Brown, can you be a most improved player when you're that good? Like, it's crazy what they're doing. So, and then the Hawks are still good, and they've got still potential to get good. They've got some good draft picks up their sleeves that they can draft some probably in the lottery for the next couple of years. So,
Yeah. And it looks like Embiid is starting to move a little bit more healthy. So there could be some interesting storylines to watch for the second half of the NBA.
yeah, I'll admit this was a scary moment for me today, Lauren. I got a notification from ESPN saying the Warriors were playing today.
Okay.
First time this season that I had to be reminded that there was a game on.
You're getting old, John. It happens.
No, I think that's like the season dying inside of me. That might be the care level. So, with some winning that'll be turned around, but that's all the time we got.
Cool.
And I think
Good spot to leave it there.
we're going to be looking up. We got to end the show the same way every time. Things are going to turn
Things are
around.
looking up. We're on the roller coaster still. We got a rough schedule to look forward to, but we're looking forward to it.
That's right.
If it was easy, anybody would do it.
Go Dubs.